Hi, everyone. Teresa Zwiener. Good to see some friendly faces out there. So I wanted to spend a couple minutes today to talk to you about what was First Data is now Fiserv, and give a little bit of overview of the now broader company, and also talk a little bit about our solution set. So if this is all working. So a couple things to note. I won't go through all the details, but if you think about First Data now as part of Fiserv, really changes the scale and scope of the clients that we serve and the size of the company. So we're the #1 U.S. mailer of bills and statements. We produce about 3.5 billion annually between now the combined companies. We're the #1 U.S. ACH and bill payment and presentment processor. We serve lots of financial institutions and clients across the globe in over 100 countries. We facilitate billions of payment transactions. We were awarded the most admired company 6 times in a row. And from an investment perspective, you might have read this, with the companies combined, there was a declaration made that of that merger, $500 million will be reinvested into innovation as part of the merger that between the two companies. So the only thing advancing faster than technology is consumer expectations, and we all are here because we know that and want to learn more about it. When you think about communication channel trends, and found this actually, Michelle and I were at a conference a couple weeks ago, and I saw this communication prism, and I'm like, man, if you think about what it was 10 years ago in 2008, and even then it looks like a lot of channels were emerging at that time, and now in 2018, 2019, the exponential growth of those channels is kind of mind-boggling, right? And both from a if you take it down to the bill payment cycle, both from a presentment and a payment perspective, it has changed exponentially. So daunting task to make sure that you are consistently communicating to your customers, and that bill payment life cycle crosses all channels when a consumer wants to present and pay at any given time. I'm going to take you back in time a little bit. So when we think about our journey back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and I was around in part of that. You know, basically from a billing perspective, we paid, we got it in the mail, we paid via check or cash, and that was pretty much the only choices that you had. Get into the 90s and the mid 2000s, and we had the internet, right? So the presentment changed from a laptop, moved into the digital device. Had the ability to pay, whether it was directly to the client on their website or through a bank consolidator model. You could pay via ACH or credit. Obviously, you could still call in to make a payment, IVRs and walk-ins, of course, from that perspective. And now we're into a whole new phase, I'll call it, with the digital wallet. We're moving money person to person. We're paying people via Venmo. Apple Pay is now the thing that people will load their phone up and pay digitally. So it's really continues to change, and I guess the message that I want to convey with this is, as these channels have grown to be and consumers' expectations have continued to blossom in that way, many companies have really kind of just built up disparate processes, people, technology to support each one. It's been kind of more of a siloed approach and channeled approach based on whether it's digital or print. And what's kind of gotten, as I call, lost in the sauce, is the ability to make sure that there's a unified experience across channels. We know that an average consumer gets about 10 to 12 bills a month, and they use 3.5 ways to pay those bills every month. And it can change from month to month. And so making sure that you have a unified, single view of the customer and unified experience is very important. To look a little bit at the numbers from a market perspective. So you'll see here how the different verticals are doing as far as paperless adoption. So telcos are leading the pack at 62%. Utilities and healthcare are lower on the spectrum. I think there's a couple people here from Blue Cross. Would you guys agree with those numbers from your perspective? Whenever I go to the doctor, I get lots of things in the mail, so it seems right to me. Okay. From a bill adoption perspective, again, the large percentage obviously is driving that first bill digitally, and then 12% is what we're seeing converting 5 bills or more in the last year. But overall, again, as we talked about, we really want to provide that consumer consistent multi-channel or omni-channel experience. So again, this is some research that was provided from I still call them info trends, key point intelligence, but around, just pure consumer feedback on make it easier to sign up for paperless, bring back paper bills. I get everything paper because that's the business I'm in, so I want to see what everybody's paper statements look like. But again, making sure that we provide that consistent experience. And they want a strong communication experience, not just the fact that you're presenting the information and payment option channels. So again, no surprise of the big drivers, of the big movers. Make it efficient, make it convenient, easy payment, no abandon rate. Again, I talked to a lot of clients that they're having a high abandon rate because the sign up to pay and the ability to meet different digital and mobile wallet, payment options is not supported. And then from a consumer payment behavior, so our customers are providing this information back to us. Biller direct is still by far the largest percentage that you'll see, but there's still opportunity to convert. Checks still second, 25% people still paying by checks. I was kind of surprised that they were number 2, to be honest. Alternate social ways are growing, but still haven't risen to the popularity, and people are still going in and making payments. So we are seeing a lot of the non-banked and underbanked community are using the mobile device, so we're seeing some movement from that, which typically is usually a cash pay type of channel. Questions on that before I go? The next slide. So to talk a little bit about how Fiserv approaches the solution set with our customers. Again, a unified approach to enable our customers to better meet the needs of consumers. We think about it in really what we call the 4 Ps. So prepare, present, pay, and protect. And I'll get into these a little bit more particular on the next slide. But really, again, thinking about these, it enables us to meet the consumer demand as channels from presentment and payment continue to grow. And most importantly, and you can open up any week, any news article around some information that's not secure, and that's on everyone's mind from a payment perspective. And so it cannot underemphasize the ability to protect that life cycle of the bill payment. So to talk a little bit more around the Fiserv engagement advantage approach and what we mean by prepare and present. So from a preparation perspective, when we're thinking, again, omni-channel solutions, so both the print and the digital aspect of that, composing once, so leveraging that composition, the decision rules once, and then delivering it in the channel by choice. Present, whether it's paper, digital, whether it's a consolidator site or a biller direct site, and the alternate channels in the future. And then from a payment perspective, which again, cannot underemphasize or overemphasize enough the present and pay. If you cannot get the consumers feeling secure around their payment choice, they're not going to suppress the document. They're hand in hand from a channel and bill pay perspective. So many consumers still, as we saw, go to the biller direct site overwhelmingly, but we see, against consolidator models, alternate channels around mobile pay continue to grow, and then protecting that from a bank grade security compliance perspective on the back end. So what makes Fiserv different? From a scales and scope perspective, we service more clients, more customers from an overall scale perspective. Accountability, a single provider, making sure that the quality and compliance is there, both from a presentment and a payment perspective. From an online banking network and e-bill presentment perspective, we have 94% market share. Over 4,000 banks are integrated into our solution. And accountability is all around the single provider and a quality control process through that. I think what it's important to note, and what I want to just emphasize, is when you think about the life cycle of bill payment, and as we talked about, and from Fiserv perspective, the engagement advantage, it's important to work with any company or within your companies to make sure that you've got a portfolio that enables the entire life cycle of that bill payment, and making sure that you're supporting not only just what the omni-channel experience is additionally, but where the future of the channels will go from both a presentment and payment perspective will go. We know it's continually changing. It will continually change. If I was predicting, there'll be more payment channels on the back end, because that's just, you hear Bitcoin and all these other things that are getting thrown out. Don't know where that will lead us eventually, but important to make sure that from a unified experience, we're supporting our customers that way. I think that's it. Questions?
Mm-hmm. Can you tell us a little bit more about the integration
What would you like to know?
What was the initial timeline and kind of where you are on that timeline?
So we are month 3, feels like 4? Yeah, 3. Okay, so month 3. Mike's keeping me honest here. Really in the process of bringing the teams together from a, kind of the basic blocking and tackling from an org structure side of it. Thinking about the facilities and where things should be and not be, and making sure that where there's economies of scale, we'll drive that for sure. Absolutely, and product rationalization as well. So, yep, just in the beginning throes of that. Lots of work streams. I don't know, Mike, is there anything you really want to add? But that's really where we're at.
Yeah, General, from overall Fiserv, I think we optimized the organization. So basic compliance leadership team within Fiserv and original Fiserv, original First Data, within Fiserv. I think we're on track from an integration perspective. Overall, right, some of the heads are behind overall. So rapid I think we'll close out this year, making sure that we're meeting our annual commitments, and then hitting the ground running as an organization and longevity. So that was always our timeline for what we wanted to do, and we're on track.
Other questions? Is everyone surprised by the merger? A little bit. And you're kind of seeing, that consolidate. So Teresa and I'm blanking on who they were. They're finalized, and I don't think they've merged yet. Teresa and who was it? Global Pay, maybe World Pay. Yeah. So you're just again, the industry is consolidating, no doubt about it. We took the first step. Yeah. Well, I'm trying to remember the number. It was 7 and now 4 or something like that. So yeah, we like to think that we picked the best. That we were picked by the best. No questions?
So from talking with your customers, what was the response?
Really, I've got 3 today actually. They were excited, to be honest. For those of you guys that have been around and know First Data and kind of the changes of leadership over the years, the nice thing about, and I don't know, I've only been in a few mergers, I guess, in my career, but the nice thing about how this one evolved was there's really not a lot of overlap. When you think about, they have a banking, cores, and First Data's legacy is the credit card portfolio. So from a holistic perspective, there were needs that we didn't have and vice versa. So it's been great to now be able to go to those meetings or those clients or potential new client opportunities and say, yeah, we can fill both sides of the house. There's some commercial print capabilities that we got that we didn't have before, which is great from a needs perspective. So there really hasn't been, we haven't really come across, to your question around rationalizing, there's some of the, I'll call low-hanging fruit things, but from an asset side, it's been great, and all our clients have been very excited about it. The debt that First Data had, that was kind of a hangover. No big surprise to anybody in this room, and that's poof, magically gone away. I don't know if I'll go that far, but I don't know if Jeff and Frank would say poof, but at least that's been a drag on the company for a while, and that's definitely changed the game. So yeah, everybody's very excited about it. I get to work with Mike. He's an okay guy. No, I'm kidding. He's great. Any other questions? All right. Thanks.